Time has come once again to speak as co-creators in Magic Do. I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Stone, and we are your guides on Journey into the Heart of the Primordial.
Welcome to season 7, episode 14. You're gonna dig it.
You're gonna dig it. Okay.
I just jumped right out. There was like 5 titles coming, and then plow out of nowhere, you're gonna dig it. Showed up.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So,
So where do we begin today?
well, so I'm gonna start with this. This is where I jump in after what me and Macaulay were talking about just before I started recording, and I have kind of made a I'm trying to find ways to add to my practice the idea of your subconscious and just how things shouldn't be hard. Things can challenge you, but in and of itself, it shouldn't be difficult to do. You just have to get out of your own way and things should flow. Like
Right.
if you're functioning properly, that's how it should work. So I've been adopting this, with myself, and I've been having conversations with my subconscious, and I'm starting to get some really good value out of it. I'll wake up in the morning feeling stiff and tight, but if I step in the shower, before I step in the shower, I have an agreement with my body. It's like everything gets relaxed and let go. And then I can do whatever I need. There's no limited mobility, whatever. That might be a bit of exaggeration, but you know what I mean? Like there's no difficulties. My body just does it automatically. But in return, I've done the time speaking to myself and encouraging it. Like whenever it does what I need to do, I say, yes, that's awesome. Way to go. Great. And and I get into the language of being really appreciative and really encouraging. So, and I've added some stuff on, but, and this amuses me, is that while digging in deep, right? One of the things about my eating is I said this before, like where I live, the food's not really high quality. There's nothing to excite me, but if I decide to eat properly, if I eat this, this will work. It's like, I don't even know if eating this is going to make a difference because the low quality of it, right? So it's been making me eat crappy stuff because my subconscious is just going, listen, if you're going to eat crap, it might as well taste good, right? And
Right.
so I'm like, okay, but we can't do this. This doesn't work. Like, this is just going to cause more trouble, right? It's not a solution. So one of the things I was thinking about, okay, let's sit down and why do you think this is an alternative to eating healthy or making efforts to do things more healthy? And then, of course, it's because, well, there's nothing else. There's nothing to there. Food is still kind of a source of happiness for me. So I haven't totally gotten rid of that, right? And I'm like, well, what can we do to get rid of that? And then the idea of
Oh,
self-love popped up, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, it's not my job to love myself. That's for other people to do. Right? That's how,
mm.
yeah,
But here's the thing, when it
right.
comes to, you know what? It came up and then you carried
Mm-hmm.
on and it went again. It'll
Uh,
come back. It'll come back. It's to do with the food. Ah, yes. The perception, this is key because this has
right,
come up a few times this past week when I've
right.
had conversations with different people, and the same thing pops up different forms. And that is there is a pervasive concept of the thing you enjoy, whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
comfort food, whether
Right.
it quote unquote tastes good, whatever the thing is, there is a concept that that has to be given up. I
Yes.
challenge that concept. I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because comfort food, for example, and
Right.
this is recent, right? Your sister's going to say, "Excuse me, wait, what?" But sorry, Tammy.
Yeah.
However, this is a thing that's just come up. Comfort food. Why would you deny yourself the thing that gives you comfort, right? How
Mm-hmm.
can it be perceived differently. So instead of it's the it's the bad thing, it's the demon, it's
Right.
the thing you got to avoid. How about you allow it and you allow it at the right times? The right
Yes.
times being I'm having a piss poor day and I really would like to have some treacle pudding right now. Or whatever the thing is that's your comfort food. Okay, you know,
Yeah.
do that thing. What
Yeah.
happens if you allow it? Right? If there's a difference between I'm going to eat this every day because I like it, Nina Nina,
Hmm.
or I'm going to have comfort food when I need comforting.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the road we went down. Like I say we, as in me and my subconscious, my conscious self, my subconscious self. That idea came up. It's like the okay, one, we're not like because one of the things I was in my work I was doing, I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to at least start with to like kind of because I know cold turkey is not going to work. Like it's not going to happen. Too much cortisol, too much, stress. What to start off with, right? And we start off with, well, just get rid of refined sugar or added sugar to your in the foods you eat. All right. So I did that. And after a day, I was like, okay, mentally I'm good, but there's a gnawing. So what's with the
Uh-huh.
gnawing, right? Because like my IBS symptoms started to really kind of peak up, and I'm like, okay, IBS is an exaggerated stress response. So what's happening, right? Like this is a thing we had. Like I didn't cajole anything. This was the answer I got when I went and did the shadow work was cut out refined sugar. And then it was like, okay, but we're not ready to cut it out completely. So it's kind of like when I talk to people about fasting, right? You want to do a 24-hour fast, I always tell them, well, you don't just, okay, tomorrow I'm fasting. What I want you to do so to minimize your stresses, I want you to acclimate yourself slowly, right? Do like 12 hours, right? Because 12 hours is not really that hard to do. Eat at 6 o'clock or eat at 6 at night and don't eat for the rest of the night. And then by the time you get up in the morning, you'll have your 12 hours in. It's not a big deal. Even if you go to bed, even if you stop at 8, and then bring it up, but don't like, get comfortable with 12, then do 16, get comfortable with 16, do 18, get comfortable with 18. And so that was kind of the response I got was that what we're going to do is we'll go a day, we'll do no sugar, no whatever, but we're not going to make it a hard, fast rule. We're just going to keep track of how many days we fall back on adding refined sugar instead, just to see where we're going. And are we just completely not doing it and just eating sugar, or are we actually making the change?
Again, I want to tweak it.
All right,
I'm
give her.
still I'm still not with you on that one because the comfort food,
Right,
for example, you can look at the comfort food and if there's refined sugar in it, well, what could you replace that with that's
right,
still really tasty? For example, if you use honey,
right.
there are good qualities to honey.
Mm-hmm.
Refined sugar has nothing.
Right.
It's just empty calories. It has nothing other than the taste, right? But it's available elsewhere.
Yes.
So, molasses or
Mm-hmm.
honey, those are the two that come up. Agave syrup, for
Right.
example. So these are still sweet things. They're still
Yeah.
sugary. They are not artificial sweeteners, but
Right.
they have something of benefit with them. If you substitute that, then you've improved the quality of what you're having.
Right.
And it's still the comfort food you want. So my point is instead of having comfort food be the bad guy,
Right.
how can we elevate it so that when you have it, it's extra specially good, right? It's not
Right.
only comfort food. We're going the opposite direction to how the dieting programs usually work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, avoid comfort food, deal with your
Right.
emotions, da 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 da. We are so harsh on ourselves
Mm-hmm.
all the time, right? Like you can't eat that; it's tastes sugary. You can't have that. Whatever sweet or salty,
Mm-hmm.
whatever flavorful thing it is you like, chances are it's probably the thing you're quote unquote not supposed to eat.
Right.
And I'm thinking, this is common practice no matter what diet you have, including the ones that you and
Mm-hmm.
I are both trained in,
Right.
right? But what if you stop doing that, turn around and go in the opposite direction toward the comfort food and just look at
Right.
it, how do I make this the best I can make it, quality wise? And fully flavorful. If you like cream, put that freaking cream on it. But
Yeah.
can I suggest you have cream instead of Cool Whip,
Right.
right? Like
Yes.
do the good quality stuff.
Hmm. Right.
Freaking go in for it.
Right.
If it has butter, put butter in, like
Yeah.
do the thing. But we're still in this mindset of if we like it, it must be bad for us, and
Yeah.
therefore we can't have it. And that is why every diet ever fails.
Yes. And that's what I'm
Because
trying to avoid. Yeah.
as soon as you get that restrictive mentality of I'm not
Hmm.
allowed to have this, it starts to become this whole deal of, well, what can I do instead? Or can I have it this one time for this reason? And you start negotiating,
Yeah.
and your health doesn't negotiate.
That's right. It doesn't.
So you're negotiating with yourself for what? It doesn't do anything. And this is literally a recent thing for me, but I realized we are all always running away from the things that make us comfortable because we're told we shouldn't want to do that or
Right.
shouldn't do that, it's bad for you. Why is it the thing that we want is bad for us?
Yeah.
And I can totally bring this round to relating it to freedom for women, right?
Hmm.
The feminist movement.
Right.
Absolutely, I can relate it to that because, oh, you want to have autonomy over your own body? No, no, I don't think you should do that. Well, no, we have to
Mm.
legislate about that. No, you can't wear those clothes. They're too, I don't know, short, too
Yeah.
split, too revealing, too pink, to whatever the hell it is. But there's always something, right?
Right.
Like, why is it the thing that we want to do, the thing that we gravitate towards for pleasure, is always bad? I
Right.
call bullshit.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to move into that idea because it's like I started asking my body, what do you want to do? Not what do we have to take away, but what do you want to do?
Uh-huh.
You
But
know?
without restriction of I shouldn't have that.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm trying
Just
to get at. Where
just
did
how
that
can you
work then?
elevate it?
Yeah.
Instead of having a burger, have steak kind of
Right.
deal. And no, I don't mean everybody should afford steak all the time. I'm just
Mm.
saying, how could you elevate what you've got?
Right. And
How
that's
does
what I was,
that improve?
yeah. And that's what I was looking at for myself is like, because I want this system to work, but I know the minute you put, like, as my sister would say, the minute you tell me I can't do something, my first reaction is, fuck you, I'm doing it.
Of course. As
Yeah.
is, for pretty much everybody, which is
Yeah.
why your dieting is a thing.
Yeah.
And the only people that benefit from that are the dieting companies
Right.
and the supplement companies and the people that make money out of selling your clothes all the time because you keep changing your size. But you don't benefit any way, shape, or form. And it reinforces this whole I'm a bad person, I don't have willpower.
Right.
Oh no, well, I might as well eat three cakes instead of one
Mm.
because Nina Nina. Like and it's because that thing was made into the bad guy.
Right.
Whereas if you elevate it, give it a throne, like how can you crown that food as being the highlight of the week? Not that you
Right.
have to earn it either, but like, oh, today was a tough day. I think I'm going to have X, or I'm
Hmm.
going to make myself a treat. I'm going to do this thing. And you make it the best you could do with what you've got, right? But celebrate it.
Yeah.
Celebrate it and bring that into the other areas that you do in your life, right? So wherever there's a restrictive, I've heard people say, oh, well, I ate extra at lunch today, but don't worry, I can run it off. The
Hmm.
hell? You
Yeah.
can't outrun, first of all, you can't outrun a bad diet. That's one thing. But the other thing is it's this punishment mentality again of I did a thing that I like, therefore I must suffer. This is what is wrong with society
Yeah.
right now, is we consider that if we're having a good time at anything at all, we have to suffer for it.
Yep.
If you're not miserable, you're not in the right place. If you're not struggling, you're not trying hard
Mhm.
enough.
Right.
Well, who benefits from that? It ain't you.
No.
So that's like I'm kind of it's all in the environment right now that I'm fired up about because we have been held back so strongly and unnecessarily in all these different things. Like religion steps in. How many things does religion tell you not to do?
Right. And that's kind of the point of starting off this episode the way we did. And it's one of the reasons why I threw in the comment about self-love. Because like we've been saying it all 2025. We've even said it at the beginning of this year. Know yourself, be yourself, love yourself. Right.
Hmm.
And I made the joke of love myself. That's not my job. Someone else can love me. I ain't got time for that. But the idea is that, especially as you get into primordial magic, this is about you. It's not about other people telling you how to do it. It's not about other people's opinion on what you're doing. It's literally you and your deepest connections. And if you're always putting everyone's negativity and everyone's barriers to behavior and stuff on you, your magic suffers for it. And it's one of the reasons why this is coming up. It's to add that part to it, or that understanding to it.
Well, the thing is, if you're insecure in
Mm-hmm.
some way, if there's some part that's left unnourished, if you will,
Right.
then that is open to different influences, shall we say. When you're doing
Yes.
your magic, some negative stuff can seep in. And there are spirits out there that they don't mean you any good. Like,
Mm.
the spirit world isn't quote unquote better than the physical one. It's different, but you
As
still
above, so
have
below,
exactly
or
as
as
above, so
below, so
below.
above.
Exactly.
Mm.
So there are influences there that are going to spot a gaping hole
Mm.
in your security and be like, "Oh, look, there's a portal. Let's jump in
Mm.
and play." And you're going to be the playground.
Yep.
So I'm not saying that to make anybody fearful. I'm just saying it to have you be more mindful. Where are you ignoring yourself, and where are you kind of putting yourself out of the picture in order to focus on others or
Right.
on what's in front of you? You have to focus on you first. You got
Yep.
to be okay with you before you start messing with whatever else you intend to influence.
Right. Man, is that vibe ever, or that flow ever strong? I don't know why I'm switching to vibe now, even though I've been using flow all along. Also, probably why I still use the word check, even though I don't know why I do.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes up every once in a while, and I'm like, where the hell does that come from? Every once in a while, when someone will say, "Oh, what about so and so?" Oh, that chick. I'm like, what am I like, 14? Like back in the 70s? Like
Cluck, cluck.
yeah. But it's like, but anyway, the idea we're going for, I sense this as the flow of the episode, is really being anchored into yourself and understanding yourself right now. Like really, like we did it in 2025, but now you're going to see consequences if you didn't do the work in 2025. You're now going to be challenged on it. Your
I think
openings are going to be your openings. You're going
now
to
is also
experience what it means not to be in yourself.
well, now is a really good time to recognize, truly recognize where you've been held back and where you've
Hmm.
held yourself back in order
Right.
to, stop anybody else having to bother, right? That's literally self-limitation.
Hmm.
But who are you on the other side of that limitation? When
Right.
you can get rid of that, when you can step over it and just say, fuck that, I'm not doing that anymore. And you don't do it anymore because you know what? These limitations only exist if you buy into them.
Right.
That's it. The
Yeah.
limitations of what you can do on this planet are not real. They're illusions, and you choose to buy into it or not. So if you want to do something different, you don't have to do a ton of work between now and then. Just decide and do so with confidence. There's no
Right.
reason for you not to have confidence.
Hmm.
And if that's a sticking point, then cool. There's some shadow work. Have a
Yeah.
little look and see who told you that you weren't enough or that you didn't have enough, didn't know enough, whatever it was. Who told you you couldn't?
Right.
Send it straight back to them. Return to sender. You can do a mirror spell if you
Mm.
like, or you can just, visualize that person sitting in the chair next to you and hand it to them very firmly and just don't accept it back. It's not yours. You don't need their limitations that they put on you.
Right.
And if you put
That's
it on yourself, you did it because you expected somebody else to do it and you got there first. That's we don't
that is a good way to put it. Yes.
uh-huh. We don't do that from a healthy place, right? So
No.
with human design, for example, I will often point out to manifestors. For manifestors, anger is the out of alignment sign, right? You know, because of that. When a manifesting child is stopped from doing their natural thing, which is almost always,
Hmm.
because it's so unpredictable, and adults can't deal with it unpredictability. So the manifesting child gets hemmed in and stopped. What happens then is they have anger as a response. But kids are typically not safe to be angry. Adults don't
Right.
like kids being angry. So you internalize the anger. What
Right.
does that look like? As an adult, it means you're going to self-sabotage so the other people don't have to bother because you know they're
Right.
going to do it anyway. Grr. It's kind of it's where anger leads more toward a depressive kind of state, but it
Hmm.
is absolutely self-sabotage, and that's where it comes from. You don't have to keep doing it. You can stop now.
Right.
And that will open up a whole load of magic to you right there. My God,
Yes.
you'll be so powerful, you'll be shocked at yourself, right? Like the amount of power that you hold right now. That's why the religions, all of them, restrict, just like
Yes.
diets do. They restrict. Oh, if it's fun, don't do it. If you like that, don't do it. If it feels good, don't do it, right? Your hand's going to drop off. You're going to go blind, like whatever it
Yeah.
is. There's a whole load of
Your
things,
palms will
bad
get
things
hairy.
that are
You'll
going
be
to happen to you,
blind.
right?
Whatever. Yeah.
There's a whole load of bad things that are going to happen to you. Why? Because if you discover how much power you have
Hmm.
in all the different directions, then how did they control you? How did they get you to toe the line, to do their thing, to do their bidding, to give them your money, basically? How do you give your power to them if you're aware of it yourself? You don't.
Yeah. So this actually brings something up. Kind of
I'll
surprised me.
bet it does.
I didn't think the
I'll
episode
bet it does.
was gonna go off this way, but we talked about this already, or we touched on it already on either last episode or the episode before. But the more power people try to consolidate with themselves or a small group, the harder it is for them to keep it. So the more you try to consolidate power, especially beyond what you're capable of, that's always the weakness. It lets you, it lets everyone else, all they have to do now is group. The more you're willing to share power, and the more people aren't willing to share power, that group who isn't willing to share power eventually basically cannibalize themselves because they can't maintain it. They can't keep hold of it.
Hmm.
As you had said, right? What's the holding power is like holding an egg. If you do it
Yes,
too
the
hard,
African proverb.
yeah, it's
Yeah, if
yeah,
you hold the egg too tightly, you crush it and it breaks. And if
right,
you hold the egg too loosely, you drop it and it breaks.
right. And it keeps coming up as a theme. This
Hmm.
we've talked about it on the podcast, and I keep running into the idea of this. So
I
you
think
can,
it's
yeah,
very important right now. It's coming up a lot when you're
right,
looking at the all the nonsense in the media and what have you,
mm,
which you can't avoid. Um, I avoid a fair amount of it, but you can't
mm,
avoid all of it. But when you look at all of that, the whole point is we've done some really terrible things, and we're going to throw so
mm,
much at you that you get swamped
right,
and feel powerless. You have no power to change anything. Have no power to do this. We're just going to run over you, and you're going to take it, right?
mm-hmm,
That's the general approach. But what happens if you realize you do have power and you don't accept that?
right,
Then what? And the more people that do that independently for themselves, then what? The
right,
more who are willing to go into their magic and go into their spiritual work and not be worried about people saying, "Oh, it's woo-woo, it's
right,
crap, it's this." I've had a couple of lectures recently from very Christian souls
mm-hmm,
who are telling me how wrong I am and I don't need to do this, etc., etc. And I just kind of I'm fascinated by them. Like, what is your
Right.
problem? I don't feel the need to lecture you on what you're doing. What is your issue? I'll leave you with your path.
Hmm.
I don't like your path, so I'm not going to walk it, but you do it.
Right.
But
And
they feel
that's,
compelled to fix
yeah.
mine. Why?
Yeah. Well, because that brings that's the, well, we'll use this expression for now and until we find a better one, but that's called the useful idiot. They're not
Uh,
self-aware enough to question it, but they're useful enough to keep imposing it on others, to maintain
uh-huh.
it and propagate it.
And typically
Right.
in Adlerian
Hmm.
psychology, if
Hmm.
you have an argument with someone and you need them to change their mind and agree with you, it's because you're actually not that sure yourself.
That's right.
And so the other person agreeing with you helps you to feel stronger in what you're saying. But if they question you and then you crumble, well, that's kind of okay. You didn't really believe that, did you? There's
Right.
no substance there. And that's the thing
Yes.
when you're getting into magical work, knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it
Mm.
is very, very helpful because if you can't withstand questioning or you
Right.
can't withstand somebody giving you a very stern look and saying, I think you've gone on the wrong path
Mm.
and you're in trouble and let me help you come back to the
Mm.
light kind of thing. That very Christian sort of
Yes.
let me save your soul talk. If you can't withstand that, then you haven't really done the work to make your decisions.
Mm.
And so there's more, that's a really good indicator that you didn't put your roots in the ground. You're
Right.
not you're not into the work. You're just kind of floating around going with the popular opinion.
Yeah.
Um, and the people with the loudest mouths don't necessarily have the deepest opinions or the deepest knowledge,
Right.
better yet.
Yeah, that's another one that keeps coming up over and over and over again for me. It's like, okay, like I always knew, right? Because I think back on, like, because we had a major change since I was a little kid in the world. Like, people really started to double down on things. Like, the world has always had people trying to control other people. These things have always existed in the world.
Hmm.
But for the last, well, probably 50 or so years, there's really been a doubling down. Like I use Reagan because a lot of people like to for the economic stuff, everyone likes to hit Reagan on it. Like the reason why we have all this balance in wealth and stuff like that, like Reagan really put in
Yeah,
the
he
stuff, right?
did.
And because of that culture, it also doubled down on, not having power over yourself. Like it's the preaching self-indulgence, but not preaching self-understanding or self-knowledge or self-growth.
Hmm.
So there was
And
like
if you
weird.
if
Go
you
ahead.
look at self-indulgence,
Hmm.
I'm glad you brought that term up.
Right.
If you look at what is often labeled under the heading of
Right.
self-indulgence, it's the things that give you pleasure.
Right.
Why is that bad?
That's the
Why is that bad?
yeah.
How does that harm anybody else? And if it doesn't harm anybody else, is it anybody else's damn business? Not
Right.
really, right? But the church doesn't want you
Mm.
to be in a place of happiness and ease. You're
Right.
supposed to be worried about the afterlife, not this life, right?
Mm.
Don't worry about suffering here, you'll be fine there.
Yeah.
What? Could you just examine that critically for a moment and you know we're here right now in
Hmm.
this illusion, this planet, this plane, whatever you want to call it. We're here. That's as much as you can be sure of as far as we're sure of anything, right? Is
Right.
that the afterlife? That is a massive leap of faith that has no proof ever.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you're in the afterlife, whatever you did here is not with you anymore, right? You take your lessons with
Mm.
you, but that's then what? Like you wasted your opportunity here. This is school. You
Right.
wasted school like it was a constant prep period for what comes after.
Yeah.
That to me is criminal. But,
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, people do their own path, but at least be conscious of it. At least
Right.
think about it, make a decision on that one. Do you really want to suspend everything now for the possibility of something later that somebody else told you, having no way to know
Hmm.
themselves?
Right.
Because where do you think they got it from?
Yeah.
This spirit that won't talk to you? You gonna trust that, are you?
Well,
Uh-huh.
that's the thing, right? Um, like I said, when I was younger, I tried to be pious, and like I said, right, never encountered Jesus, never. But I stopped when I actually started really listening, right? Like I said before, I didn't stop going to church because I didn't believe. I stopped going into church because I believed and
Mhm.
figured this is some kind of bullshit here.
Yeah. The people talking to you don't know a whole heap.
Mm,
I saw something on social media the other day. A person
right,
had posted that she's atheist
right,
and she had met someone who asked her where her church was or something like that.
mm,
And she said, I don't have one. And this guy was shocked. And he said, Well, um, you don't? Well, why don't you come to mine? And she said, Oh, what's your church? And this guy had learned preaching from YouTube
right,
and had set up his own church. And she was supposed to follow him because he knew what he was talking about. And he was shocked that she, who had studied religions, who'd
right,
got a degree in whatever, anthropology or something, like
mm,
she'd done all this work. And he was shocked that she wasn't prepared to just follow this YouTube taught preacher, right?
right,
Like, where are we as a society when that is considered normal? But if you say, oh, yes, I practice witchcraft,
mm,
people back away and expect you to sprout a horn or something, you know?
yeah,
Like, wh- that's a little bizarre, I would say. I don't think people who practice witchcraft are the
mm,
freaks, frankly. We are not the weirdos.
yeah.
Uh-uh.
It's I have a couple of those people in my family who have started their own church. So actually, where I
There you
live.
go.
So yeah, I'm familiar with the mentality, but it's like,
Now, if you're to talk of arrogance and self-indulgence,
yeah,
somebody who thinks that they are able to set up a church and have
mm,
people follow them because they've decided they know the truth.
right.
I think
You
that's
know,
pretty arrogant. I don't mean to be rude to your relatives, but
no,
just
no, I say the same thing.
across the board.
That's pretty much most people's perception of them. Uh, so, and it's an interesting because someone astute enough might go, well, what do you guys talk about? You guys did a whole thing, almost spent the whole year talking about spirits and working with them and doing stuff like so. But it's like, but you'll notice we're not trying to start a church. We're not trying to tell you guys, hey, come to us. We're the only source, of wisdom you can have. We're just saying, here's what's out there, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the big difference between like, because we're not saying, okay, now you got tied to us, now you got to do this stuff and donate to us. Like, we're not doing any of that. We're just saying, here's what we've learned. Do what you want with it. Take it, work with it, don't work with it, do what you got. When the podcast is over, you don't owe us anything, except like, and you owe it to yourself, not to us, because we're not telling you to do anything for us. So,
Yeah, no, that would be actually that would take way too much energy anyway. I don't want to put my energy there. It's Energy is a very precious thing, and you can't get that currency again. You can always get money from somewhere. You
right,
can't get time, and you definitely can't get energy. Once your energy's out, it doesn't matter how much time you have, right?
right,
Once your energy's out, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Nothing else matters except your energy, your life force, your spirit within you. That's what counts. And you got to be careful where you spend that stuff.
right. One of the things I wanted to add to what you said, because when you had said something and it clicked, and I don't remember what it was, but the idea was that like we're not doing this to preach to you. The more we know and the more we can share with you is because more of our enthusiasm for doing the practice, to going into it. and learning the things and going in, and we just happen to be sharing it with you. We're not telling you what to do because for us, that enjoyment is doing the thing.
Hmm.
That's where our time is best for us. Like that's how we
And you
best spend
know,
our time.
somebody could even come across this podcast, listen to
Hmm.
it briefly, probably briefly, maybe longer, who knows? And actually, they have more knowledge to impart than we have. In which
Yeah.
case, do please contact us and let us
Hmm.
know. That would be very cool. But I mean, the point is, we're not pretending to be the be all and end all experts. We're just putting our stuff out there, and you
Right.
take what you like and you leave what you don't. That's simply it. My one of my very favorite Buddhist philosophies: just take what works for you and leave what
Hmm.
doesn't. That's
Right.
it. I got no interest whatsoever in being responsible for anybody else's actions
Well,
too.
yes,
I
that's
would
also
hate
another
that.
one. That's
Can you
also the other
imagine?
one. Yeah.
Like, all these people did this thing because I told them to. Ugh, no, thank you.
Well, that's the
That's
thing, right? And
horrifying.
and that's why the more you try to centralize power into a hand of small number of people, the harder it is to hold it. It becomes too consuming.
Yeah. But I mean, that's also a sign of weirdness, I think, that you even want to
Hmm.
do that to somebody. Like that's a big responsibility to take on.
It is.
And yeah, yeah, no, no, no. No thanks.
Right.
Phew.
Well, that was the thing, right? Because I don't know if all guys go through this phase, but I know me and a bunch of other people I know went through this phase of I'm going to conquer the world kind of a thing. And I spent a couple of years like, oh, what would I do? And thinking about it and how do you go about this? And then after a while, I was like, that's a lot of work because it's not the conquering, it's the what you do after you conquer the world. It's not like I conquered the world. Okay, now you can all deal with your shit. I'm leaving. No, once you conquer it, you have to maintain it. Like you're responsible for all this stuff, and it doesn't matter how much AI you use. Like there's no mechanism to really be the one ruler of a planet or the small hands. First of all, because as I understand coups to begin with, that group that started the coup that led through and became the new government, if there's anyone people in that government can't trust, is each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, no, I think when it comes to total control and so on, it's a great idea. Do it for yourself.
Mm,
If you have control over yourself,
right,
then that's what you can have, you know? That's good enough. And if we all had control over ourselves, we would have a very different planet right now,
right.
wouldn't we? Because people would be making conscious decisions
Mm,
and seeking more information so they can always improve their decisions. And we don't have that. We have people abdicating their power and giving it to somebody else and
yeah,
saying, well, I don't know what to do with it. Here, you have it. And
right.
that's you're feeding a monster. And the monster becomes a monster because it's fed so much. Think
Hmm.
of the Little Shop of Horrors, right? You start off
Yeah,
with what looks like a little plant, and
Audrey.
then
Yeah.
it ends up being people eating alien.
Hmm.
That's a pretty good analogy for politics, really. Somebody might go into politics thinking, I can do some good here, and they end up eating people.
Mm,
Yep. That seems about right.
yeah. I don't know why I'm going to throw this in there, but it's the reminder of statistics, right? Statistics only talks about a group, it doesn't talk about an individual. And the bigger your jurisdiction politically, the more you start looking at the statistics. And the statistics will tell you, okay, well, 1 in 10 million, or what, just to be like super kind, 1 in 10 million people are poor. Oh, then I'm doing a good job. Okay, but that poor person doesn't think so. That poor person is still poor. That person still suffers based on their poverty. That person still suffers, all the consequences of it. So you may have statistics on your side telling you your success, but for that person, you failed completely and miserably for them if
Hmm.
you're taking charge. That was actually an idea I first come across when I was like early teens, maybe the tweens, as we say now, if we even say tweens.
But remember too that
Yeah.
statistics can be altered
Yeah.
to say whatever you want them to say,
Right.
right? And it depends on which part of the bell curve, if you're looking at a bell curve, that you focus on. Are you looking at the dead center?
Mm.
That's what people usually look at.
Right.
But 99% of the population is outside of that.
Yep.
So who's the normie now?
Yeah.
Like it's it's all part of the illusion, right? We create
Mm.
ways to maintain the illusion because
Right.
that's comfortable. So this proves my point, that proves my point, and we create these systems.
Right.
Statistics are amazing. I mean, you can literally make statistics say anything you want.
Right.
If the results you get for the question you have aren't what you hoped for, it's very, very simple. You change the question. You
Right.
rephrase the question. And rephrasing
Mm.
can, you're saying almost the same thing, but it's materially different. The words are just a little rearranged, perhaps. And now your outcome is beautiful thing as opposed to the heinous object it was when you had your original question. Statistics can tell you
Mm.
anything.
Right. Well,
They're malleable.
yes, I was having this discussion with a bunch of quote unquote scientifically minded people, and they were shocked at what I'd said to them. But I says math is like English or like any language. You can come up with the sentence "the invisible pink unicorn" because at the time was a popular way of debunking magical thought. So yes, you can't have an invisible pink unicorn because the property of being invisible means there's no color for you to see. So it can't both be invisible and pink at the same time. Mind you, my response to that is like, okay, but it's invisible to you, but to the person who can perceive the unicorn, it's pink. So, but anyway, but the thing is, yes, strictly speaking, linguistically, you can't be invisible and pink at the same time. Mathematically, you can do the same thing. You can talk about any
Hmm.
kind of subject, you can make up anything, and you can come up with a plausible mathematical model, but it doesn't mean that that translates into real life. Because you get theoretical models and then the math works out because there's a consistency inside it, but it doesn't mean when you bring it to the real world, that's what's going to happen. That's why designing things on a computer in a virtual environment doesn't necessarily go over well in reality.
I think basically where we're going with
Yeah.
all of this as we're moving around,
Mm.
I'm kind of listening to the theme that's coming up right now, and that is there are so many tools at our disposal to support the myth that we live
Right.
in.
Yes.
And that's something to be aware of, right? Don't rely on any one methodology to tell you this is true, this isn't.
Mm.
The best thing I think that you can rely on for such information is your inner knowing,
Yes.
the clarity of your inner knowing. Like, does it feel true to you? Not can you make it make sense?
Right.
Not from the head, right? Because that is all
Mm.
external information. That's not an inner knowing. But you know that thing where somebody says, "Hey, let's go break into the liquor store at 1 o'clock in the morning and get ourselves some tequila," for example.
Right.
Okay, no, why not? Is it because it's illegal, or do you just have a bad feeling about what else could happen? Like you have an inner knowing as well as the
Right.
intellectual one. So the part of your body that reacted to that and kind of went contract, contract,
Hmm.
eek, that, listen to that rather than the logic for something. Because, maybe the person who's talking to you says, well, these liquor stores, they make tons of money,
Right.
and why shouldn't we get a cut of that? And, they ripped me off the other day, and whatever else, right? They could say a
Right.
ton of things that are terribly persuasive and mean nothing, but you end up with a problem. See what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You can get talked in and out of anything.
Kyla's dogs are moving around.
Yeah, I've got one that's a bit lost. I'm not sure if she's okay. I may have to move her in a minute.
Right.
For the listener, I have an older dog. I have six dogs, but the
Mm.
older one is blind, and these days she doesn't really know where she is. She gets very confused and
Mm.
walks in the wrong direction and stuff. And she can't see where she's going, so we end up with some interesting places we have to pull her out of. Poor thing.
Yeah.
She's a bit lost. So I just got to
Mhm.
see if she settles down or not.
Yeah. So it's interesting, yeah, because that is the vibe I'm getting, right? It's the faith in yourself and understanding yourself. Like the only faith we ever preach to have is for yourself, because you're the one who's going to decide whether or not you're going to do something. You're the one who's going to decide whether it feels right to do something. And again, I'm not talking vibe. Like I don't like using the word vibes anymore because people get so hung up on using it as, oh, people are making a decision based on vibes, and they're making it sound so superficial, and so useless, and how you have to be like,
Actually, I want to talk about vibes for a minute.
go
Let me
ahead.
jump in.
Absolutely.
Vibes. Okay, so we have this thing about let's raise the collective vibe. We all
Hmm.
need to raise our vibes. It's not linear. People things are not linear. Nothing's linear, including thinking. Nothing is linear. So this raise the vibe thing. If you're wondering, well, what does that mean anyway? Okay, so
Hmm.
think of when you feel shame and you're blaming somebody else for something,
Right.
but at the same time, you're feeling a deep sense of shame. You want to hide it. You don't want people to know. You're going to pretend it never happened, that kind of thing. How do you feel in that moment? Your sort of whole being contracts, right? There's a sort of shrinking and hiding and like, oh man, don't look at me. And your vibrational level, literally the one that you could see with infrared and so on, that vibrational level decreases. It
Hmm.
slows way down and kind of contracts with you. That's the lowest level you can be at. Now, the highest level, which is very open
Hmm.
and available and expansive, that is enlightenment, or just below it, pure love, right?
Right.
The difference, just think of those two things and see how your body feels with them. When you think of just being available for love and you have no hate stuck in you anywhere, you don't have a side agenda or something
Yeah.
distracting you. You're just able to be and be in love.
Right.
That vibration, that expansiveness is so much lighter and more, the word available comes up, you're
Hmm.
more present and more available with that. And then
Yeah.
think of shame again, and phew, you're going to go straight
Hmm.
back into the cupboard and hide.
Hmm.
So your vibrational level moves between those all the time. Some people stay toward the lower end a lot, particularly if they are in the victim mentality
Yes.
and they like to blame others for, or like to, they choose to blame others for their own predicaments because that feels safer, right?
Hmm.
Then that person is going to typically stay close to that lower level of vibration more often than not. Now, if somebody's working on themselves, their vibrational level is more likely to be toward the middle or a little higher, but it's never static. That's my
Right.
point. So you don't, we're all going to go and everything's wonderful. Like, no, no, no. We have bad days, and
Right.
that's okay. The world isn't going to crash in on you because you've had a bad day. You can be grumpy, you can have a pity party.
Right.
Cool. Okay. The key is to not stay there. But, a lot of people misunderstand the vibe thing and will
Hmm.
say, no, 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 you can't do that. You have to stay positive, think positive.
Right.
Toxic positivity, and it's called
Yes.
toxic for a reason because it's
Hmm.
toxic. It's bad for you because you're internalizing now. If you can't express when you're having a pity party, then you're going to internalize that you're having a pity party, and it'll keep you there longer and that
Yeah.
keeps your vibe down. So, the toxic positivity thing is let's all pretend nothing bad ever happens and la 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 la, I'm going to skip through the daisies.
Hmm.
It's kind of pointless. And when somebody
Right.
wants to do that to you, they're not just doing it to themselves, but they want to do it to you as well. That's downright nasty. That's just
Yeah.
in a pretty wrapping paper, but it's
Hmm.
nasty, right? Because you are not allowed your experience. So the vibe
Yes.
thing, the vibe thing is moving. It is not
Mm.
static. And
Right.
it's not only up.
Hmm.
nor is it only down, except in certain circumstances. Obviously, that's always possible, but typically not. So there you go. That's my little treatise on vibes.
No, it's good because again, you bringing it up leads me to the other concept of maybe we'll be popular at some point as a podcast when people start stepping away from the everything has to be one grand story.
Hmm.
You have to have the central hero figure, and
Well,
everyone has
look,
to
people,
follow.
don't start bringing your expectations over here. I don't do expectations.
Right. Because we're literally saying, like, listen, this is about you as an individual. This is about you and you finding your place. It's not about any grand sweeping movement where everyone has to come together behind some idea. We're not doing that. But that's what everyone is always pushing all the time. Vote Republican, vote Democrat. I don't know, vote independent, vote for green, vote for whatever. Like, just to use that example, like everyone is trying to push you into a movement. Everyone is trying to push you into following someone or something, that everyone as a group can get into.
Declare your bias, damn it.
Yes, declare your bias. And we're sitting here like, no, just be you, go into you know, and really get to know you. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Don't follow into everyone else or don't try to get pulled into that group. And I know we're a communal species, right? So we do need our connections, but I'm also not telling you to disconnect. I'm telling you to do you. And if that requires you to connect, then that's fine. But
Well,
don't fall for the idea that everything's spiritual, especially because since that's our topic, usually that's the topic of the podcast. Don't follow grand movements because that's not what's going to get you. I mean, what did we all learn recently? Deepak Chopra, the Dalai Lama. Who else? Um, there's that one guy I actually really like, but now apparently he's on the Epstein list too.
Wayne Dwyer?
No, no, he's an Indian guru. Not that telling you he has a big white beard and wears a turban is going to help you, but
Oh, Sadhguru?
uh, I can't remember his name. I every once in a while I look it up to make sure I know it,
Uh-huh.
and then I don't
The
use it anywhere.
the thing is, okay, full fairness here.
Right.
Because your name appears in the Epstein files doesn't mean you
Absolutely.
did bad and heinous
Right.
things, right? But it's certainly pause for thought. And the person who is discovered to be in there,
Hmm.
or if they know they're in there,
Right.
then that is a really good opportunity to fess up and
Yeah.
say, this is why I'm in there.
Right.
And this is what I did. And like Deepak Chopra, for
Hmm.
example, I've been looking at the missives that he's put out for
Right.
public consumption lately, and frankly, it's insulting. It's insulting to the intelligence that he would drivel on these posts in such a
Hmm.
way as to say, now everybody, let's just calm down, hold hands,
Right.
and sing
Yeah.
Kumbaya, and we'll all be fine, right?
Yeah.
Like he hasn't said, I didn't do these various things. He hasn't
Mm.
said, I'm in there because they were complaining about me or whatever, right? Like he
Right.
hasn't said anything to sort of separate himself
Right.
from that place and the things that happened in it. So, we're definitely at a time where
Hmm.
spiritual gurus, and he's one of them. Oh, the monk, Jay Shetty, I think he's in there.
Oh yeah.
Thought I saw him in there. I don't swear to that though. But there's so many who are in there whose life business is to tell the rest of us how to live.
Right.
It's what we said at the beginning.
Mm.
Don't let anybody tell you how to live. You can take
Right.
the ideas and decide what works for you and don't follow them because so and so said so.
Hmm.
That's the thing. If there's one lesson we are getting right now in 2026, it is do not listen to anybody telling you how you have to live because
Yeah.
none of them are worth the salt they take up. Like they just no. You have to make your own decisions. This is all that these people had our spirituality at heart. These people have been
Mm.
there to lead us and so on and so forth. No, no, they haven't. They've been as duplicitous, is that the word? As any of the politicians. It's just you expect it more from a politician.
Right.
But what it's showing you, okay, yes, we can all do the horror, kill horror, throw hands up in the air,
Hmm.
etc., etc. Yes, and now what you get from it is don't listen to any of them. That's it. Don't listen to
Mm.
any of them. They're full of it.
Right.
That's just it. So the teachings that you've had so far, did you like them? Did you get some benefit from them? If so, keep
Right.
doing them.
Yeah.
If not, don't. I can't emphasize this particular Buddhist teaching enough.
Mm.
And it's
Right.
got nothing to do with the Dalai Lama. He's not the one that
Mm.
said it.
Right.
But, it's just, does it work for you? Yes? Good. Do it. Doesn't? Stop it. That's
But
it.
I'm gonna offer this up. I wasn't going to. I was just gonna let the episode go out without it, but let's consider certain things. And I'm gonna use the Dalai Lama as an example. People have brought up examples of why he's on the list and why it's shady and not why, not that he's just mentioned. But those things aside, I'm not sure why this is coming up because I'm not sitting here like I'm trying to justify the Dalai Lama, whatever it is that he was supposed to have done. But just to give you a mindset idea, if you have someone like the Dalai Lama, who is supposed to be you know, the Dalai Lama is always a reincarnation of the previous Dalai Lama, kind of a
Uh-huh.
thing, right? And so what you have, whether you believe in it or not, right? Put that aside. What you have is a person who lived their whole life at the expectations of others, trying to
Uh-huh.
fulfill the expectation of others. And I'm not saying this to excuse people's behaviors. Like whenever I give an explanation for something, especially if it's someone's really bad behavior, it's not because I'm trying to excuse them. I'm trying to offer you a way to solve a problem. And that
Uh-huh.
is always through understanding something.
Perspective.
Right. And well, because some problems can be solved. Like someone like right, because you do, behavior, human behavior. Someone might be starting on a bad path because of their influences and they don't know how to respond to anything else. But you realize that and you see why they're going that way, and you offer something different, and that can bring them on a different path. It's part of why I'm bringing it up is because the understanding why things are the way they are is very helpful to finding solutions. So I'm offering up the Dalai Lama situation. Let's say he's whatever terrible thing he's accused of, okay, in the files. Here's a guy who grew up never having the time to be who he is. Yeah, Christ, lost my place, but anyways, we'll continue.
Dalai
So,
Lama.
right. So if you're in a position where you've never allowed to be yourself your whole life, you're going to develop strange behaviors. But you don't solve it, right? Because I was talking about solving it. Just for the listeners, we paused because there was a dog situation. But anyway, we'll call it a dog situation and move on. So again, not excusing anyone's behavior, but understanding why someone did something is a way to stop that, or not stop. It's a way to
Understand it.
understand it, and it's a way to getting into better results, for lack of a better way of expressing that. Because I don't know how to express that idea better. Because
Well, okay, I can jump in, I
go ahead.
think. So, I make no secret of having had a rough childhood, right?
Right.
And one of the aspects, only one I might add, but one of the aspects was my father was very violent
Right.
and he had a very hot temper. So, I could go on about what that looked like and how rough that was, etc., etc. Or I could also offer you that he was a Marine who
Right.
was invalided out of the Marines and had got shrapnel in his body
Hmm.
that they hadn't been able to remove. And then he had PTSD
Right.
and self-medicated with alcohol and drugs,
Yes.
right? Now that hopefully gives a different picture of the person. He wasn't violent because that was fun. It
Right.
was how he handled his situation, right? Now, it was really unfortunate for me that I happened to be there and be in the way
Right.
repeatedly. But the point is that's what happens sometimes, right? To kids. Now, I'm not excusing him. I'm
Right.
giving dimension. I'm giving
Hmm.
perspective. and another way to see how that person's behavior would happen, what
Right.
would lead to it, right? Because as a kid, you tend to assume it's all about you because that's what
Right.
kids do, right?
Hmm.
I must have been bad. I must have been this. I must have been that. And a lot of people will have those stories about themselves. Something happened, and so it was them. They did a thing or they didn't do a thing. But it's not. It's the perspective of where's the other person coming from. So when you
Right.
can look at it more with what were they dealing with, what informed their behavior,
Hmm.
what knowledge do they have, then you get a different perspective. And
Right.
for the Dalai
No.
Lama, he was taken from his family when he was a toddler,
Right.
basically, informed that he was the Dalai Lama, and then raised by
Mm.
monks
Right.
to do monk-like things. Um, that's a lot, right?
Yes.
The other thing that I would question with regard to the Epstein files is the Dalai Lama never goes anywhere without a huge entourage.
Hmm.
So if he was at the Epstein Island, then so was his entourage because he
Right.
never ever goes anywhere without them.
Right.
I don't think they would let him. Like
Right.
he doesn't have that kind of freedom. So this is also a person who has spent his entire life surrounded by other men, right?
Right.
Monks, basically. He's never given any sort of space to do things,
Right.
weird or otherwise. So I'm not quite sure what he could have gotten up to on Epstein Island. And if he
Right.
was, then so were a whole bunch of other people. That's all I'm saying was that there
Right.
was an entourage involved, right? So I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. I could not. I don't know. But what I can say is he didn't come from a regular background.
Right. But
So who knows? Who knows
yeah.
what would lead a person to do the things that go on in that place?
Right. So he wasn't so much accused of being on the island as is his own. It's not that he was accused of doing anything with Epstein specifically. I don't think. Like I don't know the details of it, but what people bring up is something he did that had nothing to do with Epstein, even though they bring him up on being as being in the Epstein list. But the thing they bring up, and I'm not going to repeat it because it's not that it was super. It's not like he. The thing brought up is nothing is nowhere near as bad as anything anyone on that list is said to have done.
This is a little boy and a tongue, right? Is that what we're
Right.
trying to not
And
talk
that's
about?
like
Okay.
when I heard that story, I'm like sexually the Dalai Lama is like 8 years old in his mind. Like because right, when you're traumatized, you're stuck wherever. When it comes to that behavior, you're stuck wherever you were. Because that concept, right? I mean, I've heard other stuff that's weird, has nothing to do with sex, but it's like, but that idea, right, of that whole tongue incident, it's like that's what you do when you're first in the very, very youngest parts of your development about sexuality. Like it's that kind of behavior. And I'm like,
This so there were photos too, and the thing
yeah,
is, this was not a hidden private
no,
incident either. So I strongly suspect that whatever he was thinking, anybody else would look at him and say, "What were you thinking? Like, what? How did that seem like a game plan?" And seconds later, I'm sure it didn't seem like a game plan. I'm
no.
not in the business of exonerating him, nor am I in the business of putting him down for it. But I think the key here is recognize that the people you follow, the
Mm-hmm.
people that you're listening to, are fallible. They
Yes,
have they have their freak on sometimes,
right,
and they do stuff. Is that okay? Well, I don't know. You have to decide for yourself if it's okay by you. There are people who voted a rapist and a pedophile, same
right,
person, into office and still defend the fact that they did that. I don't know. That wouldn't be okay for me, but it's okay for them. That's their issue.
right.
So, but when it comes to a spiritual follower,
Mm-hmm.
you got to decide what level of integrity are you looking for, and are
Right,
you demanding perfection where none can exist?
right.
Is it fair to demand perfection? And if not, then what type of imperfection are you prepared to handle?
Yeah.
Right? Like, but the main thing, regardless of any of that, you can have a paragon of
Mm-hmm.
virtue in front of you,
Right.
and Boy, that'd be boring. But okay, you could have a paragon of virtue
Hmm.
telling you what's what. Does it feel right? Yes or no? If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Very
Right.
simply it, because it might be right for them and not right for you.
Yeah. You know, I don't know why this one's coming back. I don't know about this episode anymore. But so, we were
Daniel,
talking
pull
about
his
at the
hair
beginning of
out
the
if you
episode,
could.
we spoke about indulgence, right?
Uh-huh.
And Dan's like, well, what's wrong with making yourself happy? Right?
Uh-huh.
So the vocabulary, like we've discussed this about vocabulary on this podcast before. It's like it's hard to you start to understand it a certain way and it's hard to communicate. But then sometimes, right? Like as I've done it on the podcast enough times now where I've given you the opening because I've used the wording because I don't know how else to use it. So
Uh-huh.
self-indulgence. Well, self-indulgence doesn't have to be bad. You can indulge yourself, it's fine. So it's like, but we had to start somewhere with a word. This is all going somewhere, I'm sure, somewhere. There's a flow here. So I'm just going
There's
with it.
always a flow.
Yeah. So the idea is, once again, you're your own person, you have your own things. And you can look at people and learn things from. Like I said, I routinely tell people study quote unquote evil people or manipulators, you know, who have evil intent because you'll learn an important lesson. And that lesson is that even though the people doing with evil intent, they're being disingenuous, you can take the complimenting and making someone feel important and mean it legitimately. And you can then use that to do something good for the person. Whereas the person who's manipulating them for their own ends is using it to get them to do what they want for themselves. So you can learn from people, even if you are diametrically opposed to them, you can still learn from them. You can take lessons. You don't have to take the whole entirety of what they're telling you, but never miss an opportunity to learn something valuable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the best lessons are negative, but
Right.
also, learning from somebody doesn't mean you have to do it the way they did it,
Right. Exactly.
right? And like I work with ap applied behavior
Mm-hmm.
analysis. It is the science of manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you're changing somebody's behavior in order to get a different outcome.
Right.
I don't know what else you'd call that other than manipulation. But the difference, and I'm going to put that out there, and I'm sure somebody just put their hands on the hips and said, "Oh yeah, okay." The difference
Mm-hmm.
is transparency or
Right.
lack of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I use behavior analysis with somebody, I explain to them exactly what's working, why, how, and how they do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't manipulate them and walk away having done my thing. I show them how it works. I explain how it works and hand the toolkit over. So that is a
Right.
very different situation to somebody who manipulates for their own ends because that person won't be transparent.
Right. So I found one of the deep meanings that are supposed to come out with this.
Okay, cool. Go, go,
Or
go.
not a deep meaning, but a very practical thing to use from this. When you're in magic, there's signs you might miss just because they're subtle and you might not be in tune with the flow enough yet. So if you start assigning moral things to everything and saying, I can't listen to that person because I don't like their morality or I don't like who they are, well, part of the flow might be giving you a lesson from them and you're going to miss it because you're closing yourself off because you have your set. This is the morality. This is how things should be or shouldn't be. Like, like I don't like religion, but I still pull out things to learn from it. I still find lessons in there, and I don't like necessarily people who critique things like, because nowadays you have critics for everything online and their audience captured and they have like some of the worst takes now just because they're getting paid for it, right? But I still learn stuff and I can still pull out certain details, even if as they intended it, they meant something different. I can still learn something from it. I can still pull out some wisdom to have, even if it's only my interpretation that turns it into wisdom. But that's the thing. So you have to keep your mind open enough to be able to learn from the situation that presents itself to you, regardless of what regardless of whatever negativity you might assign to the situation itself. There's always something that can be pulled. And sometimes that's where the lesson is.
Mhm. And I want to offer something I've just
Yep.
remembered from a particularly outstanding book that I'm currently
Yes.
working my way through. And that is when you're looking at social media, for example, or the news, don't so much listen to what they're saying for what they're telling you, for the
Right.
information part, because a lot of it's crap anyway. But the thing to pay attention to is what are they trying to make you feel?
Right.
Because emotion is where action comes from.
Right.
So, right? You will act based on your emotion
Right.
every time. So, this is one of the things that makes people easy to manipulate. And if you're highly emotional because somebody's got you going, then you can also be manipulated into taking mass directions in things, and I'll give you a freaking stellar example of look at the pro-Palestinian movement right now. Ask somebody where Gaza is on a map. Ask them if they've ever been there.
Mm,
Ask them if they know what kind of human rights there are in that little strip of land. What happens to gay
mm,
people that are there? Women's rights, do they exist? Like, ask them anything, and you will get shut down and you will get blocked off and they'll scream at you about babies and stuff, right? Why? Because the propaganda channels, who call themselves news channels, we all know they're not by now, they show pictures that they claim are from that area,
mhm.
not necessarily so, and they kind of make them larger than they are, if you will, and they get the emotions going. And they get people outraged and deeply upset and heartbroken and what have you, what have you, what have you. And those people will take to the streets and take massive action. And you can direct them wherever the hell you want. You tell them Macy's store is a bad store because they
Right.
buy loads of things from Israel and
Mm,
they'll all toddle off there and break the place up,
right.
never checking to see if it's true or not, right? Never stopping to think who's involved in this? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of this? Beating up that Jewish person, did
Mm,
that help somebody in Gaza? No.
no.
Maybe you're anti-Semitic.
Mm,
Maybe you've been manipulated into taking violent action against people you've never clapped eyes on before.
right.
That is the power of causing emotion in people on a
Yes.
large scale. You can now herd them in particular places. And another example was for the invasion of Iraq.
Right.
There was a Kuwaiti princess, Kuwaiti girl, who went on TV.
Yeah, I think she's an ambassador's daughter or something like that.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
Ambassador's daughter. That's who she turned out to be.
Hmm.
But she told these terrible stories of babies left on the floor to die, etc., etc. There is a company who had a public relations company who did lots of research into which words cause the biggest emotions. Is it
Yes.
baby or infant? Is it floor or hospital? Is it
Yes.
this? Is it that? They coached her for 3 months to be able to go and do
Hmm.
all of that. And she was paid handsomely for it. And the emotion that she was able to bring into people raised the pro let's go kick ass in Iraq from around 60% to 92% in the US. 92% of people were like, let's go
Right.
kill them because they were so emotionally driven by this one girl's
Right.
testimony who nobody investigated until much later.
Yeah.
Even Amnesty International were quoting her and saying this is true. They never checked
Right.
until much later when hundreds of thousands of people were already dead. And then they said, you know what? That wasn't true. Damn. And then it got swept
Yeah.
under the carpet, right? But meanwhile, how many people died? Why?
Right.
Because somebody said, let's manipulate the emotions
Right.
and then we'll tell them what we want them to do. And that's exactly what they did. And that's how churches get you in, right?
Right.
People who become born again, for example, typically do so because they had some traumatic event, right?
Yeah.
Emotions are up, emotions are vulnerable, and at that moment, the church people or the cult people
Mm-hmm.
will say, "Hey, come here, sweetie, we've got you. We're going to look after you, and
Yes.
everything's nice. We have all the answers for you. Soothe, soothe, soothe." They get you right in the feels. They get your
Yeah.
emotions and they pull you in, and you can't leave because they hooked you in your sensitive bits. They've got you, right?
Yes.
So that is manipulation 101. So, okay, Deepak Chopra told you a bunch of stuff and now you're mad
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Right.
All right. What you gonna do next?
Yeah.
Act on your
Y-
emotions, or are you gonna actually pull back and consider, well, what did he say that was worthwhile? What did he say that was crap?
Right. Yes.
What's anybody else telling me that's worthwhile or crap? Pay attention.
Yeah.
How are they making you feel? That is your question. Write that at the top of your journal. How are they making me feel? What are they trying to do? As an exercise, turn off the sound when you're looking at the news and literally just watch it. Look at the actions, look at the gestures, the facial expressions. Look at how they are conveying their message. And you'll see a
Yes.
lot there without ever having to hear what they're talking about.
Yes.
Now I'll shut up so you can speak.
Well, yeah, because you inspired kind of something. One, consider this part of the episode as your a lesson in media savviness. What I was going to say when you started off talking about, showing pictures of babies and stuff like that. This I learned from actually from a reporter. There's a channel I follow. The guy ended up retiring and his wife took over. I think it's his wife, anyways, until he comes back. But anyway, one of the things he spoke about was that when you're watching the news, the footage in the back is often not of whatever the story is. It's
Uh-huh.
just pictures that match or convey what you want to relay. So when you were saying, well, just turn the sound off, and I'm like, you might not even get the story because if you're just relying on that background stuff, you're getting like something. One of the examples you brought up was so when the Syrian refugees were starting to go into Europe, right? There was a thing about was it Germany where Syrian men were going into subways and they were whatever doing whatever thing is they were sexually assaulting women and stuff like that. And so they were showing a footage of people, on a subway or whatever it is. And the guy's like, okay, so this footage is from like 5 years before the Syrian thing ever happened, but they didn't have any footage for it, so they used it because
Uh-huh.
he was trying to show, like he says, because a lot of people are debunking stories by going, well, look at this footage. This footage makes no sense. And it's like, yes, because the footage is just taken to give you something visual because in a visual medium. He says, like, it's not that necessarily people are trying to misinform you, but take that
And
however you want.
but it is.
Right.
They are
So,
actually trying to
so the
misinform
footage
you.
you're seeing, the pictures you're seeing don't necessarily match the story.
No, they don't. And
So, yeah,
pictures also don't necessarily represent the whole truth.
right.
An example there is a personal one. I was in
Mm,
Israel, I was in
right.
Jerusalem when
Right.
there were a small group of ultra-Orthodox men
Hmm.
who were protesting something. I can't even remember what, but
Right.
they were creating a little kerfuffle.
Right.
I'm going to say there was between a dozen and tops 20, but I think
Right.
honestly closer to a dozen men. That was it. That was what there was. But the cameras focused in on, I was there, I saw it with
Right.
my own eyes. Like I'm physically
Hmm.
standing there seeing this thing. And the
Right.
cameras zoomed in on these guys and then took sort of shots of the surrounding area
Hmm.
and zoomed back in on these guys. And when I saw it on the news later, they said there was a mass riot and there was this.
Right.
Uh, I recognized where it was. I was there at the time. And what they said that you were looking at was not what you were looking at. For a
Right.
fact, it was not what you were looking at. And I knew damn straight because I was there.
Hmm.
There was, I've seen a few instances of this in my lifetime in different places that I've been in.
Hmm.
I was in Bangladesh when there were floods,
Right.
And oh my goodness, the footage that you get from that for, send aid, send aid. The
Mm.
footage that you get in the reality, these are not the same thing.
Right.
They are not the same thing. But
Yeah.
it works because what do both of them do? They get people's emotions going.
Right.
They get people riled up. And when
Yeah.
somebody's
Well,
riled
yes.
up, you
And
can
that's
direct them. They are very easy to sort of put your hands in their shoulders, literally, metaphorically,
yeah.
and turn them around and send them off into a particular direction. And they'll go because dis when you're agitated, dysregulated, that was the word I was looking
Hmm.
for. When a human being is dysregulated, the
Right.
brain is flooded with cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And the purpose of cortisol is to prepare you for fight or flight.
Right.
That is its point. So you're ready to either punch somebody out or run from a saber-toothed tiger.
Hmm.
When you are angry or deeply upset, your emotions are high because you've just seen this film footage and what have you, your brain is flooded with cortisol.
Right.
You ain't thinking straight. You know, thinky so
Yeah.
good, right? You know, thinky so good. So somebody else now can come in and just direct you, and that's like manipulation 101. And it works every single time because cortisol is that reliable.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Which is reason why it's a good reason for us to have this moment of this is media literacy for you because that manipulation makes sense. And, to add to your story, like, and I've used this one before. There was protests happening in Canada when Jean Chrétien was prime minister. And the protesters put out a footage saying, look what the police are doing. And the RCMP had put out their footage.
Uh-huh.
Someone happened to have a bird's eye view of both and showed
Uh-huh.
their footage eventually. And it was like both things were happening. The RCMP was doing something shitty and the protesters were doing something shitty, but each side wasn't going to, you know, reveal the truth of it until one person posted their footage. And it's like, no, look, they're both doing it. Here's
Uh-huh.
your bird's eye view of the event.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So you do have to be very clear. And yeah, like, when we were talking about, even though I mentioned Deepak Chopra and I had mentioned the Dalai Lama, you still have to look at what are they in there for? Like John Stewart did a good piece on it. He said he's in the Epstein file. So he got ahead of it and he said, here's where I am. It's a discussion about they want to do a show, a comedy show, and they used him as an example. They mentioned his name. So it's like, that's the thing, right? This is where obfuscation, or if you pronounce the thing,
Obfuscation?
yes, comes in. Like, and there's always like some people are saying some of the files are fake because they really want to gin up the outrage.
Uh-huh.
And then so people can come in and say, look, we debunked this one. So how many more of the other files have to be debunked first? Kind of to muddy the waters. But
Uh-huh.
what I'm getting at is like, so you do have to pay attention. You do have to figure things out for yourself. I'm not offering that up to be bleak or anything like that, but it's like you'll never feel more powerful than when you can confirm what
Mm-hmm.
and really
And
have that
so
understanding.
whenever somebody is trying to bring up a big emotion in you, which is
Right,
these days all the time, right? Because that's what gets clicks.
right,
The first thing to do is to take a step back mentally and look at it and just say, okay, what are they trying to make me feel?
right.
What is the benefit to them to make me feel that way? Because remember, it's
Mhm.
not just you, it's thousands of people who see this
Right,
footage or who listen to this person. So, hundreds of thousands sometimes. So, what is the purpose in getting that emotion going in that many people? What is the point? Where are they going to send you next?
right,
Because they don't just leave you with it, they always send you somewhere. What is it? Is it after all, the Republican Party really are the party of family values?
right,
Or, the Democrats are truly here for all the people.
right,
No, they're not. Like pick a thing, but what is it? Because once you can spot the pattern and see where it is they're about to shunt you off, where they're going to try and persuade you is the right place to be because of this emotion they've just got going in you, now you'll
right,
know what their plan is. You don't have to do it, do you? You
right.
can take your own path And that's the whole point of, I think, this episode today
Yeah.
is like, what are people trying to make you feel?
Right.
If they're trying to piss you off, why? What are they, who are they making you mad at? Because they're going to be sending you that way. They're going to
Right.
be doing something. We have literally gone to war because of how people were made to feel.
Yeah.
Vietnam War, there was a whole fear thing about, oh my God, they're all going to turn everybody communist. Like,
Mm.
okay, and this was so good, capitalism's so great. But that was the fear, right? And they did everything they could to make people fearful. So then, like, you have to go and protect your country's interests, even though you're actually invading another country at this point, right?
Yeah.
That are miles and miles and miles away from you. Got nothing to do with anything. But nope, you got to go and not let them become what you're afraid of,
Yeah.
right?
It's
And then once the Vietnam War is happening and unspeakable things are occurring on both sides, I might add, all this terrible stuff's happening. Well, if you protest against it, now
mm.
you're a really bad person. You're an enemy
Yeah.
of the country, right? And like people were getting emotionally shoved into boxes left and right. And
Yeah.
literally, many of them ended up in boxes because they were killed in the line of, was
Oh
it
God, yeah.
duty or was it emotional force, right?
Mm.
But the whole thing was an emotional gambit. None of that actually made sense. None of that was for a purpose other than, the usual, hey, shit's going down, let's distract you. And the more there is that's happening, the more they'll try and distract you. I mean, Argentina even picked a war with the UK over the Malvinas
Yeah.
or Falkland Islands,
Yeah.
right? Why? Because they were having trouble at home, so they wanted a distraction and got their ass handed to them. But uh, it was a little island with sheep and penguins and shit. Like whatever they
Mm.
had on there, it wasn't a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like there was no point, but people got emotionally invested,
Mm.
and suddenly it became important.
Yeah.
National pride, this, like, but no, the whole thing was manufactured, and people went with it
Yeah.
because their emotions were bought into it. Straight up, that's how it works every time.
Right. Yeah. We're bringing up examples of how easy it is to manipulate. Like, not how easy it is,
Yeah.
but how
Oh no, it is
manipulation is
pretty
always
easy.
occurring and the vulnerable. Yes.
It's
And
really easy.
yeah. And so the idea is to not let that distract you from your magical practice and your ability to sense the flow of things. Don't let other people's details get rid of supersede your sense of the flow.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important to be aware of that
Right.
because you can be taken out of your magical practice
Hmm.
by somebody kind of either shaming you or putting you in fear of, well, yeah, but God's watching you
Yeah.
and now you're going to be in trouble. You better come and repent for your sins kind of deal. Well, what are they doing? Are they saying it? Does any one word of that make sense, first of all? No, it bloody well doesn't. Absolute bullshit. So,
Yeah.
what are they working with? They're working with the doubt and the fear that they just got going in you. And then
Right.
they pull you to one side and distract you from your practice. So, here's the thing you got to look out for the emotion
Hmm.
whenever you are being sidetracked, distracted, caused to self doubt. Who is causing the self-doubt?
Right.
What what did they do to you to get that emotion going?
Hmm.
Or what in you came up, right? Because that's not all externally put on you.
That's right.
Sometimes you have a story from when you were a
Well, that's what I was
kid,
going to say, right? It's not
right?
necessarily us versus them kind of a concept. It could just be anything you picked up. I had said
Well,
before, I famously learned wrong lessons when I grew up.
but it kind of
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah.
It's just that you internalize it, right?
Right.
So when you're a kid, it is what you learn from other
Hmm.
people, but it's also
Right.
how you have internalized it. Now,
Hmm.
what do you do with it? So that can be you're sparked by something, intentionally or otherwise, and a story comes up for you. Oh, but I can't write a book. My English
Right.
teacher said I was crap at writing,
Mm.
and I never got good grades, and I got into trouble and got detention and stuff because I couldn't write. Like all these things. Might not even be articulated that well in your
Right.
head, but the feeling, again, the
Yeah.
feeling that you had as a kid of failure, the feeling that you couldn't do something comes right up to the front,
Yes.
and you translate that as, I can't do this thing,
Right.
or I shouldn't do this thing. Either way, you should on yourself, or you
Hmm.
can't on yourself. And either way, that's a problem because it's limitation and it
Yes.
doesn't need to be there. But it's all emotionally based.
Yeah. So, and that, as I understand it, is a good place to end the episode.
Well, it's a pretty potent one, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to start seeing it everywhere you look now. What
Hmm.
kind of emotion are you trying to get going in me? And even in conversation with people sometimes, what are they trying to provoke in you? Do they
Yep.
want you to feel guilty about something? Do they want you to join them in their outrage about something? Like what is it they're trying to get going in you? It's not your thought processes. They're not looking for that. They're looking for your emotion
That's
because
right.
that's where you can be maneuvered from.
Absolutely.
Even if
Which
they
is
don't know
why I
they're
didn't
doing
want to
it,
use
they
the word
are.
vibes, is because of that. Because
Uh-huh.
that's what everyone
But
refers to.
I mean, be aware too that not everybody does it intentionally. That and the reason
Right.
that people do it even without realizing is because it's so bloody easy. That's the
Yep.
whole point. So we do it anyway. Think of the parent. Okay, gotta go there. Think of
Yep.
the parent who uses guilt,
Hmm.
right? Fantastic. What a brilliant weapon for a parent to use against their kid. Guilt. I will get
Yep.
you to behave by making you feel guilty.
Yes.
Okay, was the intent there to teach the child something? No. Was the intent there to do lasting harm? Probably not. Was the intent there to stop the kid from doing the thing or to make them do something? And that's the easiest way you know how. Yeah. Usually that's going to be the
Yeah.
way, right? So guilt gets used as a weapon. Why is it effective? Because it makes you feel guilty. It's the
Yes.
emotion. And you're now in a position where you'll do anything to make that feeling go away. So parents don't logic out all of that. They just know it works, so they do it,
Yep.
right? Unless they grew up with it, in which
Hmm.
case they probably won't use it because they know how much it sucks. But that's another example of it's the emotion that made it work.
Yes.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And people will do things they hate doing because they want that emotion to go away.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Now I'm done.
All right. That's good because this could have started a whole thing about addiction on how it worked. But no, that's the idea. So listeners, we did a whole hour or something about learn to put aside the manipulations of other people so you can be clear on listening for what you need for your magical practice. Because sometimes the nuance of what you need to learn or can understand from a spirit talking to communicating with you, sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes the are signals that sometimes on the best of times are jumbled. So the more you can clear yourself and the more you can be receptive, the better. And the less outside influence that you're allowing to push you, the better.
I think you're going to make much better decisions
Yeah,
if you realize how much bullshit is out there manipulating you.
that's right.
Now I'll stop talking.
All right. I continue too. So on that note, once again, I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Gaffinstone.
Until next time.
À la prochaine.